Yes. Hello, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm Matt Goins. For those of you who don't know me, I always feel like I have to introduce myself, and yet I know that a lot of people know my name, but maybe not my voice or face. But welcome to the WiscWeb Lunch and Learn for the month of December. We have a very brief agenda today. I don't imagine us taking too long in this conversation. So if people have some questions that they want to throw in that we can get to, or just some general conversation about the state of things with WiscWeb and just the web in general on campus, we can chat about some things if you'd like. Um, this is the agenda for the afternoon. We just have a few updates and reminders to go through, and then we'll chat a little bit about the Gutenberg process, the block editor process. No surprise that you'll hear from us probably every month moving forward until we get there. You'll hear some level of update from us regarding Gutenberg and the UW theme and our work to get there. There we go. Okay. Just really wanted to touch on the fact that obviously we're coming up to the winter holiday time. And so, as is usual for many services, the staffing and support will be low during that sort of 2 week period in this case, from December 23rd, the Friday of December 23rd through the Friday of January 3rd. And then we anticipate a full staff being back the week of January 6th, that Monday. A lot of us will still be around. A lot of us will still be checking emails and responding as best as we can, but we will be low staff from a standpoint of, the devs will be taking time off. So if there are anything broken, it might take us a little time to get to that as we can. But can't leave anything else. Help desk obviously will still be around to answer some general questions, but anything that gets bumped up to us might take a little bit of time for us to get to. But like I said, we'll be checking email, and so if something is emergency, we will get to it as we can. And then the launch request process, obviously we still need that 2 week notice. We're getting to the point where that 2 week notice is going to be butting up against that holiday time frame. We've been told that our Eric, who is with the Do It Web hosting team, he'll still be able to launch some things on a regular basis during this time frame. But just be aware of the fact that we're in that holiday time frame. We'll make a best effort to get sites launched before the new year. But if at all possible, please wait until after the new year to request the launch occur, so that we have the appropriate amount of staff and people around, staff and time to make those changes. I wanted to touch on this one a little bit because it's come up several times over the past few weeks in relation to my Gutenberg sessions. And so I kind of wanted to reiterate and reemphasize a few things in relation to that first bullet point there. So we have turned off the ability, we no longer allow you to upload video file types to your WordPress media library, to your WiscWeb WordPress media library. Video files are usually very large, so they take up a lot of space. And then you have to know the way to embed it on your page using the WordPress shortcode functionalities there, that it didn't make sense for us to continue to allow that from a support standpoint and from just a storage standpoint. They're very large files. I mean, this video is going to be a short one, and it's still going to be quite large when I process it and upload it to YouTube. We don't want to have to maintain that space. You can still embed videos from external sources such as YouTube, Kaltura, and Vimeo. And so the reason why I wanted to hit on this a little bit is because the question has come up in the Gutenberg sessions about, um, the media library and putting videos in and things like that. As far as we know, as far as we have looked ahead, we're going to maintain the fact that we don't want to allow for video files to be uploaded to a a media library. And these are specifically like .mov files, .mp4 files, those types of files that are specifically video file types. So this doesn't affect like if you have like a GIF up there or something like that. And in Gutenberg, we're still working on how we are going to accommodate some of the embedding functionalities. YouTube has an embed block. I believe Vimeo also has an embed block because YouTube and Vimeo are both whitelisted embed options from WordPress proper. So, we will honor those as we move forward. Kaltura is the tricky one. I need to do some testing of that one because my guess would be that has an embed functionality that we need to look at when it comes to an iframe aspect, which is what we do now in the UW theme. Scott has built it in that I'm giving Scott credit for this. I think he's the one who worked on this, but it takes the iframe code from a Kaltura video, or it takes the URL from the Kaltura video and it automatically embeds it into the page as well. And it does that for a text block as well as the embed content page element as well. So it's automatically taking those values. So we just need to figure out how Kaltura is going to look in the future for Gutenberg. And that's just, we'll do some testing. We'll probably create some, either some custom blocks or some custom patterns to work with media content. But I just wanted to reiterate this part of the conversation because the question has come up a few times over the past few weeks. There's just a lot of confusion. I shouldn't say a lot. There has been some confusion in relation to what we mean when we say you can't upload video files. We don't mean you can't upload them to YouTube or using your Google account or anything like that. It's only your WordPress WiscWeb site that we have disallowed this. And then the next bullet there, the accessibility reminders. This is, Gabe, currently unsure if Kaltura embeds will work with Gutenberg at this time. So I'm unsure how we're going to accommodate it. It's not that it's not going to work. It's just that we don't know how we will accommodate it. As Andrea just responded, we plan to build a solution for it. In my demo sessions, in my demo session yesterday specifically, I embedded a YouTube video and the conversation came up about these types of things. And that's why I wanted to hit on it a little bit more in today's session as well. We just don't know how to get there. WordPress, Gutenberg, the block editor does have, the ability to accept embed functionality, iframe functionality. We just need to make sure that we do it so that it is safe and secure for us to use and it works to an acceptable means for you all as well. So accessibility. This is another drum that I am going to beat quite a bit over the next year. And you're going to become quite tired of hearing me talk about it. And no apologies, I'm going to keep on talking about it. There is this large push to become accessibility compliant with the new law that was passed earlier this year. We talked about this at last month's Lunch and Learn. We will chat about it much more as we move forward. But all higher education institutions, shouldn't say all state government institutions, including higher education institutions, must be compliant with the new accessibility law for digital accessibility by April. I'm going to do this off the top of my head, but I think it's April 24th, 2026. So there was this committee that was created with several working groups. I was a part of that working group, or part of one of the working groups. Um, and we've made recommendations. Those recommendations are now in a report. That report is going to be delivered to the committee and then subsequently to campus leadership, and then decisions will be made after that. I can tell you without question that for WiscWeb, the two greatest issues that we're going to run into for meeting accessibility compliance are alternative text on images, because it's so easy to just upload, throw an image on a page, and walk away from it. I encourage people to be in the habit of upload to media library, immediately put alt text into it. And I hope that's what other folks are getting in the habit of doing. But I troubleshoot quite a few sites. I look at pages and I look at whether or not they have alt text, and they don't. And I see it often. So I just want to keep encouraging you to look at your sites, look at your images on your pages, and put alt text on the image where it's being used. I'll touch on that next bullet in a second here. The other thing that I am concerned about is the fact that we do within our service, and I do it as well whenever I'm helping people work with their sites. We have a lot of sites that embed YouTube videos, Kaltura videos, and Vimeo videos. Any video that you make available, regardless of whether you own it, if it is something that you are putting as part of your site and it is in particular to your content. So I'm thinking of sites where you all have various events, you have various presentations that are recorded. You take those recordings, put them in YouTube, and then you embed those into news posts, or you update events with that type of media and things like that. That stuff also has to be captioned. It has to have captions to it, and it has to be at an acceptable level of captioning. You can't just let YouTube do its automatic caption. So again, those are the two biggest things that we as a service, that's my opinion, those are the two biggest things that we as a service are going to have to tackle, is in relation to accessibility. And again, part of the recommendations that we have made to the committee and hopefully to leadership is we need educational resources for all of you so that you know how to make things accessible. And then second, we need tools to help you know whether or not you're meeting that accessibility. So those are the two big things that I am encouraging and pushing for. We'll see. We'll see what the final decisions are when campus makes its decisions there. So again, you're going to hear me talk about it a lot over the next year because it's important and we need to address it. So go back up to the other bullet. Get back here. So that bullet there of items on page must be edited there. So that's a question that comes up pretty often of, if I go into my media library and I update the alt text there, is it updated for all of the images? And the answer is unfortunately no, because once an image is placed on a page, that image now exists there, independent of what it is in the media library, because it's been coded onto that page. So you have to go to that individual page to update the alt text there, as well as in the media library. So that's an unfortunate aspect of this, but you just have to make sure you do that double work. Is there a way to require something in the alt text box before you can move forward? Yes, Kimberly, I'll get to your question in a second. So programmatically, there is not any way to stop a person from just throwing something on there and then publishing the page. There are no, I mean, I'm not a developer, so I'm not going to speak to how complicated it would be to do something like that. My understanding is there are complications to doing something like that. And also WordPress itself doesn't make that a specific requirement. So it's hard to bend the spokes of the wheel, so to speak, when the wheel is what it is. One of the things, again, we're looking at tools. Hopefully the campus will provide us with some tools that while you are building your pages, it is identified that there are accessibility concerns, not just warnings or errors, but also concerns, things that you need to think about. Alt text is tricky because an image could be decorative, which means it wouldn't require the alt text within it. But then people could just say every image is decorative and kind of walk away, which means your site becomes inaccessible, non-accessible. I don't know what the right word is there. But so yeah, so that question, Linda, is basically one of the things that we're trying to figure out as we move forward and hoping to get guidance from the campus is how do we encourage visually and programmatically appropriate accessibility standards. Kimberly, what about PDFs? I was not on the documents working group, but PDFs also are one of the things that will need to be made accessible. I work on the KB team as well, and that is a big worry of mine on the KB team is the many PDFs that are made available via KB documents and the fact that they will also need to be made accessible if they are something that is relevant to, there are rules, there are certain guidelines for that, and I don't have the information in front of me, but essentially, if it's relevant to the content, if it's relevant to your program, if it's relevant to the information that you are trying to provide your audience, it must be made accessible. There are dates that have to do with like archived information. So if it's something that was published before, I believe it's before April of this year, and it's no longer being used as sort of like part of your program, part of your information that you are providing, it's just kind of lingering out there. I believe that is something that will not be required to be made accessible. But if it's something that you are regularly linking to, I'm thinking of like policy guidelines, class information, syllabi. Faculty are going to have a challenge with this as well. Things that are regularly referenced, those types of things will need to be made accessible. So the PDFs, they are problematic because of the fact that there are a lot of styles that go into, thank you, Gabe, I was going to put that in later, but that's an excellent link to put in there. There are a lot of paths to making PDFs accessible. Is there a tool? Not that I'm aware of, not that I use, not that I have used. In these cases, I would always encourage you to contact the Center for User Experience and engage them in these conversations, because they are the ones. So as it has been explained to me, the Office of Compliance, they are there to tell us what the rules are and whether or not we are breaking the rules. In this case, whether or not we are compliant with accessibility. The Center for User Experience is there to help guide us to accessibility. So that's kind of where those two groups, that's where the lines are drawn for those two. And, when we get to that point where I have more information to provide, I will sort of be in that role of helping you get to that point. When it comes to websites, PDFs and documents, I don't know if I'll be competent enough there to talk you through it, but I can at least guide you to where you need to be to hopefully make some better decisions. So the make it accessible, I guess, section of it.wisc.edu is an excellent tool to go and take a look at, to just get yourself introduced to some of these concepts. I went longer than I thought to on that topic, but the accessibility is very important to me. It's something that I've been talking about since I started on the WiscWeb team. It's very important to me. So I want to make sure that I want to encourage everyone to be thinking about it as well. Thinking about it first as you're designing, rather than later after you have designed. And I know that's hard right now because we're all in sort of reactionary mode. But as you move forward, I want you to sort of think about that thing. Okay, some Gutenberg updates. We've had the info sessions. There were 4 of them, two each of the same session. So an introductory session and then a more advanced sort of block editor, using the block editors, using the block editor and the blocks to build an actual layout. And yesterday's session, I thought was a very good session. I felt way more confident in yesterday's session building things out than I did in the first session, just because I'm tinkering and I'm sort of, as I've been saying, I started in the same place that many of you are in right now, which is, what is Gutenberg? What is the block editor? What even does that mean? And I'm now at a point where I feel I feel more comfortable using the blocks to build a layout. And that kind of showed in yesterday's session, where I kind of went through and rebuilt a page that I didn't rebuild it, but I used it as a design guide from the University of Michigan, their med school. I kind of took their page and rebuilt it with just some Madison flavor instead of Michigan flavor there. Anyways, I will send an email out next week with the links to those 4 sessions. But since you all are here right now, and I wanted you to be able to see the chat in the Zoom as well, there's the link to yesterday's session with the passcode for it as well. So if for those of you who missed it, if you want to take a look at it, like I said, I think yesterday's session was probably the best of the 4 that I provided, mainly just because, like I said, I'm getting more comfortable talking through a lot of these things and chatting with Andrea, chatting with Ketter, who are Ketter with the Office of Strategic Communication, Andrea, one of our developers. They are sort of spearheading some of the development and design aspects of this, and I'm just learning more thanks to them. So the next steps of our Gutenberg process, continuing to build. We chatted about it yesterday quite a bit, but a lot of the things that you see me do in yesterday's session are me using blocks to create things. But in the future, we will have patterns. We will have predefined layouts for you to just kind of pick and choose how you want them to be on your page. And then once you put them on your page, you have more options than just, this is it, this is what it's going to look like. You will have a few color options. You will have some layout options of like reversing things. The grid and the grouping of content from that we did yesterday, like just showing you the fact that like you can do 4 or 5 column blocks to lay some things out. There's just so much more potential with Gutenberg, and I'm very excited for it, because I'm excited for what all of you will be able to do, and a lot of it is what many of you have been asking for. And again, it's going to be overwhelming at first, but I kind of want you to be overwhelmed now, so that when we get to next summer and I'm showing off more of it, and we get to next fall when we hopefully are doing our migration process, you all will be way more comfortable and just kind of pop in and be like, yeah, I saw Matt do this stuff, I'm ready to go. That's what my hope is that I can help you build up that confidence. So continuing to build. Next spring, we will do some user testing with many of you, I hope, in testing out some of these blocks, testing out how we are accommodating some of the things that you've asked for, and just kind of like taking what you say and going back to the drawing board with the developers and the designers to continue to evolve what the theme will be. So that will probably happen in the spring. And then obviously I will do more informational sessions as I can. I don't want to overdo it, because not much will change between the sessions right now, because there's nothing other than me just showing you the blocks. I did that yesterday and in the first session for the using the block editor. But once we get to the spring months and we have some decisions made as to how some of the patterns are going to look, I'd love to show those off to you all and give you a sense of what we're doing on our end to accommodate, like I said, some of the desires that you have expressed in feature requests and just general conversation. Theme testing, meaning that's when we'll start redoing it. No. So what theme testing means from our standpoint is we are actually going to implement a sort of beta version of the theme, and we will ask a number. I don't want to say a few. I don't want to say a lot. I don't know what that number is. But we're going to test it, and we're going to have people build some content out, maybe reuse their content that they already have. We're not really sure what the testing is going to look like just yet because we haven't fully built out that plan. But that's basically what the theme testing is going to be. Is we're going to have you all again, I don't have a number. We will have some of you engage in some content creation or content updating based on what the theme is in that particular version. And then Andrea put in the migration process. So what day will you start rebuilding your site? So that's an interesting question because I'm not really sure what the right answer is for the word rebuilding. In the link that Andrea talked about, one of the things, or that Andrea posted, one of the things that we talk about is the fact that we do want to create a tool that will migrate content as best as it can from current version of UW theme using the advanced custom fields to the new UW theme using the block editor. The general idea, our approximation of when we want to start the actual migration process is next fall. We're looking at October, November-ish is when we want to start doing some of that stuff. The more complicated the site, the more we'll have to dig in and make sure that everything runs appropriately. The less complicated will probably run pretty easily because most of those sites, I'm thinking lab sites, they're just, several pages, text and images. That's simplistic. But when we get into like, how what's the transition going to look like for, groups that use data tables? What's that going to look like when, a data table gets migrated over? Can a data table be migrated over? There's things like that we need to answer before we go in. And, accordion panels, we don't have an accordion panel answer yet. Tab groups, we don't have that answer yet. The Kaltura thing, that's still a question that we have to answer. So there's a lot of questions that we have to answer still as part of like, what is it going to look like and can we migrate things to it? So again, yes, next fall is really what we're looking for when it comes to the migration process. And we might have some of you help us out with the testing of that as well. But next fall is what we're looking for those dates. Okay. And then lastly, I'm going to drop these in to the chat. Let's escape out of here. Let's grab here. Oh, that didn't work right. Can I edit that? Cancel. There we go. Edited. So there are 3 links. The first one is the main Gutenberg transition site. We've communicated this a little bit, but a couple of things that I want to touch on out of here, the project status updates down near the bottom there. That's, we will update that as frequently as we can in relation to where we are in status of how the theme is being built. So this is where we'll go. A lot of information on here. And then the last thing on here, down near the bottom, for those of you who aren't a part of it, we encourage people to join the WordPress users group in Microsoft Teams. I mentioned Keter earlier. Keter engages users there to kind of ask questions, get some feedback, bounce some things off of folks, and trying to get some feedback from you all to to continue to move forward with building the theme. So that's the first link there. The second link is the one that Andrea provided, which is our migration page. Again, right now, just general information because we don't have many answers yet because it's still a work in progress, but we will update this as we get closer to answers. I'll go back up. I'll grab the link that Kate put in there as well. Copy link. I'll repost this one just because it is a great link to put into there. But the make it accessible page is out of it.wisc. Again, encourage you all to start looking at your content now to make things accessible. Again, there's document and email accessibility. There's lots of things in there to touch on. Believe me, I certainly appreciate and understand that the accessibility thing is going to be overwhelming because it's like you're standing against the tidal wave coming at you. I know, but hopefully some decisions will be made so that it feels less daunting and that you have more resources at your disposal, both people and tools to help you get there. And then the last link there, the wordpress.org/Gutenberg. This is what I've been telling people to take a look at. This is just going to be using what's referred to as the 2025 theme. It is not the UW theme. Underline, bold, arrows pointing at it, not the UW theme. There is no version of the UW theme that is available to anybody at the moment. All this is the generic WordPress theme, but it's a way for you to start tinkering around with the blocks. And again, this is the page I built in yesterday's session, just using the base blocks and the media that I have. And that's it. So again, I encourage people who didn't attend yesterday's session to give that one a listen because, like I said, I felt more comfortable building these things out. I had a better plan to build these things out, and this is what I came up with, rebuilding that University of Michigan medical school page. All right, that all being said, I yield the floor. Any questions? Groovy. Okay, there we go. Okay, so yeah, that'll be it for this month, folks. Thank you all for attending. I will stop the recording.